Hello, I'm Blue Diamond Coasters, and I am not in Florida, as you probably assumed you would think when you clicked on the video. It's about a month and a half after I went to Florida. Although right behind me you can see maps of the two parks I didn't go to Florida, Epcot and Animal Kingdom. But up above me, you can see Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, and the two Universal Florida parks. Unfortunately, both Busch Gardens and SeaWorld switched to digital maps, so I couldn't get them. I have them at home, but they're from 2011, so the last time I went to SeaWorld before this recent Florida trip. Anyway, speaking of that Florida trip, so I didn't really film a vlog while I was there. I was with my mom the whole time, and then also it was really rushed sometimes, like especially the Disney day. We were pretty much just booking it from ride to ride. We didn't really have time to do a vlog. But I did get a lot of footage just of the rides running because I wanted to feature in this YouTube video and other stuff like TikTok and Instagram. Now there's a disclaimer I want to put in here about some of the clips. I'll appear once in a while to talk about each park and give some context to them. But a kind of disclaimer I'll give right now. Some of these videos were filmed vertically. More accurately, I saved them from either Instagram because I was putting a ton of stories. If you want to see all the stories, they're in my Instagram in the little highlight circles. So throughout the video you might see a couple dips in quality, and you'll definitely notice the aspect ratio shrinking, mainly because I got those from vertical videos. I just had to kind of crop them so that they can at least still be horizontally. But I still wanted to include them in the video because, well, I did get a lot of footage. I would like to, there's some other ones that I didn't really get filming horizontally. But with that said, might as well get started. So the original plan of the trip was actually to go to Fun Spot Orlando and Kissimmee that first day, but unfortunately we had some flight issues. We got delayed 3 hours, and we weren't able to get to Fun Spot Orlando. We get to Fun Spot Kissimmee later, but we didn't get anything to do that first night. We stayed in Universal Dockside, by the way. That was a really nice hotel. I'm glad that Universal finally has more value resorts, because when it's just me and my mom, we only need 2 beds. Don't need a full like suite with multiple rooms and anything. We just pretty much need the basic stuff. But the first day was a big day. It was at Universal Studios Orlando, including Islands of Adventure, where I got to ride my new #1 coaster, Velocicoaster. If you've already seen my TikTok, and also you've noticed the updated bios on Instagram and TikTok, Velocicoaster is my new #1. It is just perfect. I could go maybe to a full video, almost an essay, just of how much I love that freaking ride. But that day was also kind of special because I got to meet someone from the Theme Park Hype House. If you don't know already, I'm part of the Theme Park Hype House. It's a social media group that I joined about a year ago where, you know, a lot of us talk about theme parks, mainly Universal, but we also do Disney, and I kind of bring some of the coaster stuff. And I finally got to meet someone from the Hype House in person, my good buddy Dan. You can follow him on TikTok right here, and also while you're there, follow the Theme Park Hype House. But he was a great help that day because he was able to get us a lot of express passes, and I got to do a ton of rides, some which I didn't think I would do. I already mentioned Velocicoaster, but I finally got a first ride on Hagrid's. That was a really great ride. I just love how it integrates theming and thrills perfectly well. It's the perfect balance between the two, much more than something like Mummy or Gringotts, which I still enjoy. The only other new credit that day was Rip Ride Rockit. My 2 song choices were Rainbow Connection by Muppets and Lose Yourself by Eminem. Rainbow Connection is a really good choice. I really want to go back and try some more whenever I get back to Universal, because I do that a lot just on my own. I'll plug in headphones underneath my shirt into my zipper pocket and just play music on rides so I can get that experience. I love putting soundtracks to coasters. But that day was really fun. I was able to get 5 rides on Velocicoaster, 2 of them at night, both of them in the back rows. And all in all, it was just a fantastic day, really. Starting to consider it. I'll probably figure it out later where exactly it stands, but Islands of Adventure may be in my new top 3 favorite parks. Disneyland and Hershey are still a really good #2, but I think Islands of Adventure, it's getting close. I think Cedar Point right now is #3. I'll have to think if I think Islands of Adventure is better than Cedar Point. So with this long intro out of the way, here's the stuff I shot at Universal. It's a dinosaur coaster.
Panoramic view, or like a 360 panoramic view while the coaster's going around. Tunnel. This is the second tunnel where they go really fast.
So after our day at Universal, we went to SeaWorld Orlando for the first half of the next day. Honestly, I was kind of disappointed with SeaWorld. It has been 10 years since I've been to SeaWorld. Last time I went, there was no Mako. Manta was pretty much new, but I was still too young and too short to ride either Kraken or Manta. And I was kind of disappointed with the park as a whole. The way I kind of see it, Disney and Universal are like the big attractions that tourist destinations that people come to Orlando for. And then you also have a bunch of other like side attractions like Fun Spot, the big one. There's a ton of other like go-kart places or roadside places. And I feel like SeaWorld is just the biggest and probably the best of that. It's not as good as something like Disney or Universal, but I really don't even see myself needing to spend a full day there. There were some stuff that was closed, like the Antarctica Emperor Penguin Dark Ride was closed. The exhibit was open. I thought the ride was open, but it wasn't. It's kind of weird. They made us wait in the line in pre-show for penguins. That was for the coasters. I really liked Mako. It's pretty much a better Candemonium. Manta was fun. Kraken kind of disappointed me. It was really rough for me. I hate headbanging. It's probably like one of my biggest turnoffs for coasters, and I really feel like Kraken needs that Hulk retrack that it got a few years ago, since it's one of the other B&Ms that's been running every day for now 20 years almost. I think if it got a retrack and, You know, maybe hex some new restraints or something. I don't know. Something to make it a bit easier. Also, with Journey to Atlantis, since I last rode it, they start to remove a lot of like the storytelling stuff. Now it just kind of feels like a really nicely themed water coaster. The water coaster stuff is really cool, but without the story, it just kind of feels really generic. Especially, like I said, when comparing it to things like Mummy or Gringotts or other themed coasters like that. Really, a story is what kind of makes it really cool and what's worth having the theming there for. And for the first of many times this trip, I got to see a standing but not operating coaster that I thought would be open, the first one being Icebreaker. It looks really cool. I think SeaWorld Orlando definitely needed like kind of a more moderate coaster in between Journey to Atlantis and Kraken Manta Mako, and I feel like Icebreaker would really fulfill that spot. So here's the very few footage that I got at SeaWorld. Yeah, I told you I didn't really get a whole lot of footage at SeaWorld. It was a half day, and plus we were trying to get to the next spot, which was Fun Spot Kissimmee. So we get to the park, and we got 30 tickets, because I needed basically the 3 credits there. Mind Blower, their Spinning Wild Mouse, and Hurricane, which is their kind of other coaster. It's kind of tucked away in the back. We get there, we get the 30 tickets, I get in line for Mind Blower, and rain delay. So we decided to wait it out because we didn't know for sure if we would be able to make it back to Fun Spot Kissimmee to use those tickets. It was about an hour, just us waiting in like the arcade trying to wait out this storm. Eventually they did reopen. I was able to get a ride on Mind Blower and their spinning coaster, but they were taking a while to open Hurricane, so I made the decision to just skip that and use my 10 extra tickets to get another ride on Mind Blower. Now Mind Blower I really actually enjoyed. The best way I can describe it, if you take Wildcat, like the roughness of Wildcat, cram it to a small spot and put a roll over it and add so much more airtime, that's Mind Blower. It is super rough, but honestly, I'm kind of fine with it. It's a very allowable roughness, and it's not really headbang, it's just more shaky and jittery, and I'm fine with that because it just makes it so much more out of control. So with that, it's mainly just a bunch of footage of Mind Blower, but here's the footage I got at Fun Spot Kissimmee. If you couldn't tell already, I didn't get a whole lot of footage. I'm really trying to draw out this video already. So the next day we were at Busch Gardens Tampa, and yet again we were met with a coaster that I thought would be open but isn't, and that being Iron Gwazi. And I honestly think Busch Gardens Tampa really needs Iron Gwazi right now, because this might be a hot take, I was kind of disappointed with Busch Gardens Tampa. I'll get some good stuff out of the way. Cheetah Hunt I think is really fun. It's kind of a shame that I rode Velocicoaster 2 days before, which is pretty much a much better version of Cheetah Hunt, but I still really liked it. Sheikah is great. It's a slightly better version than Griffin for me. I kind of put them right next to each other, but I kind of prefer Sheikah to Griffin. And Falcon's Fury honestly might be my favorite ride there right now. That drop tower is amazing. I love that. I got in that about 2 or 3 times. It's so great. Now here's where the hot takes come in. I didn't really get why Montu is super loved. I think it's a great ride, but I still prefer Great Bear as a inverted coaster goes. And also with Kumba, I didn't really enjoy it as much as I thought I did. It just kind of felt like another floorless coaster. Like, it felt like, okay, this is basically what Bizarro is. I kind of already got one of these. It's, you know, the same loop, dive loop, zero G roll, cobra roll, double corkscrew. Just moved slightly different. Now granted, it was a bit of a rainy day. In fact, I was really worried about this day because there was a hurricane that was passing off the coast. It got lowered to a tropical depression and then moved out further into the Gulf of Mexico, so we were safe, and that means there was no crowds, but it still meant there was kind of a bit of an on and off rain. I don't know if that maybe affected any of my rides at the park, but who knows? I'll have to come back maybe when Iron Gwazi opens. I'm kind of already thinking spring break maybe. Who knows? I'll have to see how that schedule works out. As for the other coasters in the park, Tigris is a Premier Skyrocket 2, the same one at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and also has those comfort collars that I really don't like. Scorpion was interesting. I'm surprised that's still there. It definitely is like the black sheep of Busch Gardens Tampa. I'm really kind of surprised they haven't gotten rid of it yet. Sand Serpent is typical wild mouse. Cobra's Curse, I honestly think it should have been indoors because Busch Gardens Tampa doesn't have anything that's indoors at the moment. And I almost feel like if it was indoors, you could do a lot more theming stuff. Like put a big pyramid over that, really theme it to Egypt. That'd be really cool. Basically, Revenge of the Mummy, but with spinning cars. And like I said, I feel like Iron Gwazi really fills in the slot because what airtime is there at Busch Gardens Tampa? Cheetah Hunt has a bit. Kumba doesn't really have any that I remember, neither does Montu. Sheikra has the drop, but that's it. I really feel like Iron Gwazi is gonna be the only airtime machine at Busch Gardens Tampa. And I honestly kind of preferred Busch Gardens Williamsburg overall. Like, another thing I noticed, when I was eating my food at Busch Gardens Tampa, they were just normal theme park burgers, pizza. But when you go to Busch Gardens Williamsburg, they get to theme everything to Europe. So you got Italian food in the Italy area, you got fish and chips in England, you got French crepes in France, you got a nice smokehouse in New France, you got Oktoberfest, you got a giant fest house, whatever. And then there's nothing really like that. I mean, it'd be really cool if you could have like African food at Busch Gardens Tampa. That'd be really cool. But I still enjoyed it. But like I said, Iron Gwazi is going to be the thing that really makes that park really great. And I'm looking forward to it. It looks amazing. So here's the little bit of footage that I have from Busch Gardens Tampa.
Is the only inverted coaster that we currently have here at Busch Gardens. What this means is you travel below the track instead of above it. Montu travels at speeds from 60 to 65 miles per hour and takes you upside down a total of 7 times. Now Montu is consistently being ranked in the top 10 steel inverted coasters in North America and gets its name from the Egyptian god of war. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for, we are approaching the Serengeti Belt.
one, the Big D, Disney World. This was the most stressful part of the trip. We were doing Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom on the same day. And I remember hearing the stories of Hollywood Studios in the mornings for Rise of Resistance, as if a million voices cried out in terror, and most of them were silent. Something terrible had happened. They didn't get Rise of Resistance boarding groups. But thankfully, I did. It was really stressful. Both me and my mom were on our phones. I had a nuclear clock running in the background, and we got boarding group number 78, which I will take it. I'll take that over group 100 something, where we barely have time to do Magic Kingdom. Now, the other new ride for me at Disney World that time was Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I liked it. It was a solid ride. It was kind of underwhelming compared to the other trackless dark ride at Hollywood Studios, but I still think it's a solid addition. And of course, you can't go wrong with Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster. Those are always great rides to get on. And I got multiple rides on the Star Tours, just trying to get the films that I wanted. I think this was actually the first time I'd been on Star Tours with the new Rise of Skywalker ending, where they go to the planet where the Death Star crashed. I don't know, I don't really like Rise of Skywalker. You thought my coaster hot takes are bad. Wait till you find out that I actually love this movie. Look at Mark Hamill. Look at Adam Driver. Y'all are just mean. We also got a ton of rides on Smuggler's Run, just using the single rider lines over and over and over again so we didn't have to wait. Just hoping that we'd get a group that would allow me to be the pilot. That never happened. I was engineer all 5 times that I went on it, and most of the time it was a group that either didn't speak English or didn't know how to play the Smuggler's Run game. So I was carrying the team, trying to get that coaxium. And of course, Rise of Resistance. Now, you'll see the footage later, but yes, Rise of Resistance broke down on me on my first ever ride. What happened was we pulled up to the scene where Kylo and Hux are on the bridge and they turn around at you. When we pulled up, they were turned around already, just kind of frozen like that. And I was really disappointed because I was like, oh man, the animatronics are broken. Then a couple seconds later, we pull up to the room where there's those big turrets shooting out the window, and the turrets stop. We stop, and a couple minutes later, the lights come on, and we sat there for a good while waiting for the cast members to come on by and escort us out. I really wish I got footage of us going out. Backstage Rise of Resistance isn't a whole lot. It honestly just looks like a blank office building with no windows. It was kind of surprising, like, wait, this is what's right behind, like, the Star Destroyer? Really cool. And thankfully the ride was back up and running a couple minutes later, although I heard right after we got on it, about an hour later, it broke down and was closed for the rest of the day, so I'm really glad we got those rides in. And as for the ride itself, whoo boy, that was incredible. Like, the best Disney ride, hands down. It might be one of my favorite rides ever, like, including roller coasters into the mix. It truly is an experience that only the Imagineers at their prime with no Bob Chapek budget cuts can achieve. Now, one kind of disappointing thing about the ride was we ended up getting the B-mode Kylo Ren at the end. So normally, the animatronic comes out and does this.
There's no escape. You will tell me the location of the secret base, and then I will destroy you and the Resistance.
But I guess the animatronic was down, so instead we just got the screen that's this.
Your efforts are wasted. You cannot escape me. Your precious Resistance is about to be destroyed.
And I kind of felt that something was off. I went to this ride completely blind, but even I could kind of tell, like, there's not really much of a climax with Kylo Ren like I thought there would be. And I remember seeing bits of footage of that one animatronic that people thought was actually just the Wicked Witch of the West from Great Movie Ride. It isn't, because there's 2 of them, now one at Disneyland and one at Disney World, so there goes that rumor. But now I know I have to go back to Disney World and ride it again with their animatronic in operation. And that'll be much easier now that I don't have to worry about boarding groups. We shall have peace. Anyway, here's the footage I got at Hollywood Studios.
Wait a minute. I love that idea. How about some backstage passes?
Actually, you guys should.
For recruits. Commander 99, please report back to IGS cockpit.
BB-8, is everyone assembled? Good. Shouldn't you be in flight prep? Recruits, thank you for joining the cause.
Previamente candidato da EFIO.
Good. Airspeed sensor.
EFIO!
Thank you, 9-9. Black Leader, are you and your team ready?
Affirmative, the engines are hot. Red 2, Blue 5, report. Red 2, check.
Blue 5 standing by.
Engage repulsors and hold on, recruits. All ships, launch. I am Lieutenant Beck. As you heard from Ray, I have been tasked with getting you to Vakara.
Go under the command of the First Order. All of you down the ramp and to the right. Get out. So rude. There's no moving. We don't have all day. At this point, you're just wasting my time.
And of course, where else to end my Florida trip than the Magic Kingdom itself? I only got a few rides on there. I only got on Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, well, maybe the last time as Splash Mountain, Pirates of the Caribbean, and of course, the People Mover. Please come to California someday. And to end off the trilogy of rides that I thought would be open but aren't open yet, Tron Light Cycle Run. Honestly, Tron might be the most anticipated coaster for me ever. Even though right now I'm more looking forward to Pantheon and Iron Gwazi, Tron I've always been looking forward to since its announcement because it is kind of the first extreme coaster to come to Magic Kingdom. I mean, it's not full extreme like Rock and Roller Coaster, but it's still the most thrilling coaster to come to Magic Kingdom. Plus, it just looks gorgeous, and I can't wait to be jamming out to Daft Punk while on the ride. So here's a little bit of stuff I got from Magic Kingdom.
Speedway, put the pedal to the metal and speed towards the checkered flag in your very own race car. Young or old, this is your chance to drive in the fast lane without worrying about getting a speeding ticket.
Wait, come forward. Mira, mira, mira. Dale, dale. What a ball in the front.
And that's it. That's all the stuff I got from Florida. Overall, I had a great time. I was really worried going in about bad weather, big crowds, rise resistance boarding groups, but it all worked out in the end, and I got my 200th coaster credit, so I'm satisfied. Now, if you want to see my full ranking of all the coasters I did during that Florida trip, on my TikTok, I'm in the middle of doing a series where I go over them from worst to best. Kind of a shorter version of the big series I did a couple months ago on TikTok that got me really big. I've also been putting in those rankings where it is in my overall ranking of 206 coasters. So to end things off, like usual, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, the usual things you all do. If you liked it, share it with your friends. If you didn't like it, share it with your enemies. Make sure to follow me at Blue Diamond Coasters on Instagram and TikTok. Like I said, I'm posting my Florida ranking series there. I've also been putting a couple other videos up from Florida you can go back and watch. So with that, this is Blue Diamond Coasters saying later.